Hello and thanks for joining us on the Pet Stop. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Voynick from the American Animal Hospital in Randolph. Well, ahead on the show today, how to keep your pet safe during the winter months, plus choosing the right breed of dog to fit your lifestyle. We'll also have this week's Pet of the Week, and we'll get a visit from Dee Romaho of St. Hubert's for our weekly adoption segment. But first up, cold weather is certainly rough on us, but the hazards associated with cold weather can also be especially hard on your pets. So here to remind us about some important tips on keeping your pets safe in the wintertime is Dr. Deborah Breitstein. She is a veterinarian and director of the Animal Health Care of Marlborough. It's great to see you again, Deb.
Great to be back.
Thanks. It's getting cold out there.
It is, baby. It is cold outside. And we have to resolve to keep our furry friends and those that keep us warm, keep them safe during the winter time as well.
Yeah, with all the goings on inside, sometimes you forget about what's going on out there, especially if they happen to be outside. And there's some important points that you brought along. First of all, the temperature is really critical.
Absolutely. If it's too cold for you to be outside dressed comfortably and properly, it's probably too cold for your pets to be outside too. So limit their outside time, both dogs and cats if you can.
We're looking at signs of hypothermia and frostbite.
It can be very subtle, and it can affect the extremities, the ear tips, the paws. It's important to check those sites because ice crystals can freeze the tissue, so you don't want to warm them up too quickly. It's better to prevent that than
better
to have
not to
to deal
rub
with
those
it.
areas too.
Exactly, because you could rub off and the animals won't feel it, and then there's another big problem that follows with that.
Good point, Deb. Also, keep them well groomed. Keep your pet well groomed, and knotted areas can be a problem, huh?
Absolutely. You know, people may think that the coat is protective, and a matted coat or a thicker coat might be protective, but it's not, and actually interferes with the normal function of the skin and the coat. Likewise, if you groom your animals shorter in the wintertime, make sure they have appropriate outerwear, fashionable or not, your choice, to protect them and give them extra, warmth when they're outside, and even sometimes inside. When we keep our temperatures low inside in our homes, we put on an extra sweater. Do the same for your animals.
Sure. A lot of options in fashion these days.
Absolutely. You can have them come in juicy or lots of other choices. Very much a fashion statement.
Also, another point you bring up is if your dog is in a doghouse, keep it draft free.
There are dogs that spend a lot of their time outside. They're work dogs. They have a job to be outside. So you do want to make sure bedding is actually more padded and more waterproofed. Water shouldn't freeze. There should be extra checking on those particular pets, extra calories they need for their stamina during those cold weather months. So it's very important that you check a lot of things that you might say, well, we can do this every other day. No, you have to check several times a day. Absolutely.
And the other point that you already brought up about water freezing is crucial. Even if the temperatures out there are slightly above freezing with a wind chill, sometimes you can get into some problems.
I mean, if there's snow on the ground, that's fine, but don't eat the yellow snow.
That's right. You didn't make that a bullet point, but I think that's pretty common sense.
It's pertinent. Absolutely.
And always keep them on a leash, right?
Yes, because there have been reports where animals off leash have gotten onto a frozen surface, and it could be a water underneath that's not frozen, and then you end up having a problem where animals get stuck in the lake, river, and you can't assume that it's frozen solid. So yes, you do have to.
Problem.
And this is the time where more pets get lost than any other, because snow on the ground, they lose their tracking, they lose their way to get home. So forms of identification are extremely important at this time of year. Both dogs and cats, whether it's a collar or a microchip, whatever suits your needs for getting those animals back to you.
And particularly, just like in people, if your dog is middle-aged or older, and they're a little arthritic, that could be problematic as well. Keep that in mind.
The joints are sore, and provide extra bedding, warmth to the bedding. Sometimes with those of us that do rehab and physical therapy, we use those modalities just on a day-to-day basis for the arthritic pets, but even more so when the weather gets cold, the temperatures drop.
Another point that you brought up about antifreeze in your driveway. Common reason for kidney failure that we see year after year in dogs and cats. The only thing that's not frozen out there.
And it only takes a couple of sips of antifreeze. It tastes sweet. Dogs and cats are attracted to that, especially if they have no other water source. There are some safer products to use that don't have the ethylene glycol, they have propylene glycol. But anytime you suspect your animal, Sierra is one, and anytime you think your animal may have ingested that, that is not a wait and see, that is to the emergency room you go.
Right away, absolutely. Those kidneys
Time
get
is
fried quickly.
Crucial.
Crucial. Yeah. The other good point that you brought along is to use a damp towel to wipe your pet's paws as they come in.
You should check, because ice is sharp. They can get snowballs that get in between the pads of the feet. Always check when they come in, and just lightly remove any soil debris, rock salt, any of the ice melter. And there are some safer ice melters that can be used.
And Safe Paws, is a good product.
That's one that we've had at the office quite often that we use and even can sell. But you can get it at most outlets, and it's available, and it's safer.
Another good point you bring up is to tap the hood of the car. God forbid they get it, underneath, for warmth. And we've seen, you and I and all veterinarians have seen fan belt injuries where
if you can keep your indoor-outdoor model cats inside, that's great, but you can't always do that. And where do they go for warmth when it's freezing cold? They go up underneath the hood of the car. So if you can make some sort of noise, even just the key fob that lets you know that the car is being unlocked is enough for many cats to be scared from underneath the engine, and you can at least prevent those types of injuries.
Wildlife too, right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
They will take advantage of those warm areas as well.
Right. And if your pet is indoors, be careful about drafts.
Drafts, and also if it's cold, guess where those dogs and cats are going to gravitate to? Space heaters, fireplaces, things that often generate warmth, and they can get burned by that too. So you do have to be careful about the drafts and also the heat-seeking areas that they'll go to.
Right. You brought up the and that's a common cause for fires in homes as well.
Is it really? Do you think
they say that supposedly objects should be at least 3 feet away from these space heaters. They're very efficient, but they're very dangerous if you get curtains near them and
I think the fur of the animals too can get into the space heater, and that can set off a fire. I didn't think about that. So that would be a danger, and then you wouldn't want to leave that going if you're not home either. I think those types of things should be a supervised only situation, not just even if you're running out to the store, turn it off.
Right. Right.
I would think that would be safer.
The other thing that we should mention too, as they're less active, just as we are, we have to control their calories. I know you're big on nutrition. Nutrition
is a problem, and everybody makes a New Year's resolution to lose weight. It's a perfect time of year, but they're less active, they're burning less calories, so people tend to feed the same amount, not realizing that their activity level is down. So do be aware of calorie needs, and we all tend to put on a few extra pounds during the winter time, and it's harder to work those off the older that they get. So it's nutrition changes, portion control, exercise changes are all important.
All right, always great to have you on, Dr. Deb.
Great to be here. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So to come today, folks, choosing the right breed of dog for your situation, plus adoptions and Pet of the Weeks as well. So stick around. There's more to come on the Pet Stop, only on News 12 New Jersey.